Tupac music often touch on themes of social inequality, police brutality, and the struggle faced by marginalized community. How do you think his music continue to resonate with audience today?
Yeah, because the same thing is going on. Like the same thing that he was talking about in his music, the injustice, the oppression, the marginalization, the same thing that was going on in his music during the 90s is going on today. So, of course, people are going to reflect on that message that he was trying to spread during his time on this earth to the time that we are living in today. Because in reality, nothing has really changed. Nothing has really changed, man. I like to bring up especially in our community, I like to bring up how many black men were killed since Pac was killed. We can't even count. We can't even count how many black men were killed by other black men since Pac was killed. And specifically, we can't count how many black rappers were killed by other black men since Pac was killed. So nothing has changed. We still have this undying need to want to hurt each other instead of love each other, man. That's my message for today. I'm sure that would have been Pac's message. How can we love each other, man? How can we help each other? How can we pull each other up, man, so that we can take care of our communities, man? So that we can dictate our own survival instead of being dependent on others for our survival. That hasn't changed, Brother Gibbs. It's the same thing, man. So people today are still going to resonate with the message of yesterday coming from Tupac and others who died for our cause because nothing has changed.
And you know what, man? Like I say, listen to your words. And even as we doing this interview, I'm getting somewhat emotional because once again, like I say, hurt people hurt other people.
Right.
And even like I said right now, me and my wife sat down and watched like Dear Mama on Hulu like yesterday. And even watching that, man, it helped give me a better understanding who Tupac was and what he really stand for. Because a lot of times people like to pass judgment, not quite understanding, not taking the time. And to me, like I said right now, was I can see why some of the problem that he had was some of these individuals that I knew from the street life, like the Haitian Jack or the Jimmy Hinchman or anybody else that was in that street world. Because when you bring up in the environment that he was brought up, like with the leadership of your mother, and like right now with Matola Shakur and all the other great leaders, where as far as right now they're looking at equality. They were looking at standing. If you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. They were looking at for the people. Once again, he wasn't about people bullying, people taking advantage, people disrespecting, people extorting, people exploiting our people. And see, that's why these cats, when they ran into him, they didn't understand why he didn't bow down. They didn't understand who he really was and what he really represented. Because once again, this stuff was instilled in him since he was an infant. So once again, they didn't quite understand, like, who is this guy? Why right now we got guns in his face and we doing all this other stuff? But once again, he wasn't bound down because he was already who he's supposed to be.
Yeah, and I love the way you bring up. First of all, I want to take this moment. My uncle Matulu, God rest his soul, he just passed away a couple of days ago, and
Yeah, rest in peace.
I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the life and times of Dr. Matulu Shakur, great man in his own right. Man, we're saddened by his loss, but Pac. What I like about what you said was that you drew the comparison of how people from our culture, our background, the street game, people from the street game, like the Haitian Jacks, the Tuts, the Jimmy Henchmen, all these people who come from that life. That's the life that you are familiar with, right? And for you to just explain to me so eloquently how you just came to understand for yourself the significance of who Tupac really was. right? Or who he really is, what he really represents, says a lot to me of how different things would have been if those people that I just mentioned would have saw the same thing. If they would have saw the same thing that you've seen recently, it would have been a different story. And they probably would have collaborated with Pop. They probably would have joined forces with Pop to reach as many young people as we possibly could. I'm glad that you have this platform so that you can shine a light on that parallel, because that parallel is very important for people to understand. You know, the mindset of the gangster, the mindset of the street person when it's being introduced to a person like a Tupac. You know, it kind of reminds me of what happened with Nipsey Hussle, the mindset that he had and how his life was taken because of the mindset of a person who was living in the street life. And they just could not get over the idea that this man was trying to save his community instead of hurt his community. You know, so it's beautiful, Mr. Glaze, that you have this platform and you shining a light on that parallel right there in context, in the context that people can understand, so that we can see the difference of how things would have happened or turned out if we were able to recognize Pac's true quality.